Supporters of three convicted Al Jazeera journalists say they will ask Egypt's president to pardon them. Despite international condemnation, an Egyptian court sentenced the men to 3 years in prison following a retrial. CNN's Ian Lee has the latest on the verdict.
Anguish in an Egyptian courtroom after a judge sentenced 3 Al Jazeera journalists to 3 years in prison. Mohamed Fahmy's wife watched as her husband was taken away, outraged by the verdict.
The verdict was extremely unjust and was extremely unfair. And what happened with Mohamed shows how much this case is political. And it's so unfair what's happening to him. We got married and I didn't even enjoy our marriage with him.
The Egyptian state convicted them of working without accreditation and spreading false news to harm Egypt, charges the defendants deny. Internationally renowned human rights lawyer Amal Clooney is Fahmy's attorney.
The fact that they've reached this verdict today sends a very dangerous message. In Egypt, it sends the message that journalists can be imprisoned for simply doing their job, and it sends the message that there are judges who will allow their courts to become political tools.
Egyptian authorities arrested the 3 journalists in December 2013 as they were covering the popular coup of then-President Mohamed Morsi. Saturday's ruling came despite the court's own technical committee declaring there is no evidence to support the charges. And despite strong international condemnation, the judge sentenced Fahmy and Greste to 3 years and Bahar Mohamed to 3.5. Greste, tried in absentia, is free after being deported to Australia earlier this year. Fahmy, a Canadian national, surrendered his Egyptian citizenship in hopes of being deported as well.
We're going to be meeting with Egyptian government officials over the coming days, and we very much hope that President Sisi will deliver on his promise that he's made in the past to pardon these journalists if they were reconvicted. He's distanced himself from the case from the beginning. He said he wishes the prosecution had never been brought. It was brought before he became president, and now's the time for him to step in and end this fiasco.
Options are running out in this highly politicized case. If the president refuses to intervene, Fahmy and Mohamed have one chance to appeal in the courts. Ian Lee, CNN, Cairo.
And as Ian mentioned, one of the 3 journalists, Greste, remains free after being deported back home to Australia from Egypt in February. The Australian government is denouncing the verdict. Its Minister for Foreign Affairs, Julie Bishop, posted a statement on the ministry website saying, and I quote, "I am dismayed by the decision today of the Egyptian District Court. This is a distressing outcome for Mr. Greste, his family and supporters. I have spoken with Mr. Greste today and reaffirmed that I will continue to pursue all diplomatic avenues with my Egyptian counterpart to clear his name." Still to come on CNN Newsroom, a pact in Paris. European officials call for tighter security on rail services after last week's failed terror attack. We'll tell you about that. Also ahead, a break in Bangkok. Police arrest a man in connection with the deadly shrine bombing. We'll tell you what they're saying about him next.